So Majority did another table topics video about console overload, and I found this to be a very fitting table topics video because currently the PS5 and the Xbox Series X has only just been released not long ago, so it's actually a very fitting topic considering the situation, as a lot of people are asking themselves, do I buy the latest consoles or not? And which ones do I buy? A lot of that decision making is going on. I mean, it's not going on with me, but it's going on with a lot of people. So it's kind of fitting. But one thing I want to bring up before I even start this, because it is relevant to the video topic, is when I got up this morning, it only just became apparent to me that we're in 9th gen. When they announced the PS5, I didn't even acknowledge it. It just went over my head. I was just not even thinking about the fact that 8th gen was over. And I only just realized when I woke up this morning that 8th gen is now retro and 9th gen is modern gaming. And to me that's crazy. It's just crazy that 8th gen is already over and we're in 9th gen now. I just can't come to terms with that. It just feels so quick. It just feels like it's gone by so quickly. Maybe it's because 7th gen went on for years. It kind of did, but this generation, 8th generation's gone by very quickly by comparison. And yeah, it's just a bit difficult to accept, I guess. But here's the thing, and this is how it ties in to the topic, because it's about how you handle owning so many consoles. Now, I personally own 16 consoles in my collection. Those consoles being the Super Nintendo, the PlayStation, although the PlayStation's spindle has kind of come off and yeah, it needs repairing, the Nintendo 64, the Game Boy Color, the PlayStation 2, the Game Boy Advance, GameCube, and an Xbox. Yeah, I own an Xbox now. I only just recently got that, and it was originally so I could play Ninja Gaiden Black. But then I realised that Xbox 360 is backwards compatible with Xbox games, and I never really tried this before because I never owned any Xbox games up until now because I was afraid they wouldn't work on my Xbox 360, but I actually realised that Ninja Gaiden Black actually works on Xbox 360. And yeah, that kind of took me by surprise. But yeah, and yeah, I've got Xbox, and then I've got all three of the 7th gen consoles. I think I've got all of the 7th gen consoles. I've got the Nintendo DS, I've got the Wii, I've got the Xbox 360, and I've got the PS3, and I've got the PSP. So I have all of them, which is kind of crazy because I'm not really a big 7th gen guy, but I have all the systems that were released in 7th gen. If I've missed one, then be sure to tell me, because you never know, I might have missed one out, but I think I've got all the consoles there. But the last console that I have, I actually have a Nintendo 2DS, and I have a PS4, and I think that's my entire console collection. I don't know if I've missed any out or not, but yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, I have 16 consoles, and I only have 5 of them hooked up right now. And those are my Xbox 360, which is kind of just on my desk. It's not really a desk, it's kind of more of a kitchen surface that's just lodged into the wall. It's kind of fitted to the wall, a kitchen surface that is held up with these pipes that are just holding it up. It's kind of weird. It's not really a proper desk. It's kind of like a bodge, but you know, it works for me. And yeah, that's right on top of it, where you'd usually have a place to put all your stuff that you want to just put down, just a table to just put things down. My Xbox 360 is taking all that room, so basically I have this huge desk and I can't put anything on it. I can't fit any room to put anything on it, so yeah, it's an absolute nightmare to actually put things down. Sometimes I have no room to put things down, so I have to put things on my chair or on my floor just so that I can put things down and so I can organize stuff, and it's a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, that's on like my desk, and I have this 3-tiered wooden thing that I have the rest of my consoles on, and thankfully I have the PS2 Slim, so I can fit both the PS2 Slim and my Wii on just one tier. The PS3 is on the bottom tier. That's kind of on its last legs, is that console. Like, I don't know, I've had a lot of issues with that console recently, and I have the PS4 at the top. Now, I did not want to own a PS4 at all. I think you all know that I got my PS4 second hand, and I made sure I got it second hand. Like, I remember when I went to buy it reluctantly, I only bought the console just so I could play Star Ocean 5, Exist Archive, and, well, it turned out that Odin Sphere Legacy was on it as well, so I got 3 games out of it, woohoo. But yeah, I still have it plugged in now because, well, it's where I play games that are basically owned by all these scummy publishers, and yeah, I don't want to buy those games on PC because the money goes straight to the publisher, so I buy them second hand. That's what I use it for now. And also for games that have the Nouveau DRM as well. I'd rather just own a copy of the disc if that's the case, so I've played those games on PS4 as well. But yeah, like, that's basically the gist. I don't really care for this system. Like, out of all the consoles that I have, the system that I get shut off first would be the PS4. I mean, like, I still want it just so that I can play the exclusives that are on it, at least like Star Ocean 5, Exist Archive, and Odin Sphere Legacy, but honestly, like, it's definitely not a system that I enjoy. It really isn't. I mean, as I say, like, having to pay for online and all that shit, that's one of the things that bothers me about consoles the most nowadays, but there's a lot of things that bother me about modern consoles. Like, one thing that I've been doing recently, and this is another thing that ties into, like, console gaming as a whole, is I've been on a mission to back up the save data from all of my systems onto my PC. Now, the thing about PC gaming, if you want to back up your data to an external hard drive, all you have to do is copy and paste, and then wait a few hours or so while it just copy and paste everything. It's not that hard, it's easy. A lot of people say that PC gaming is complicated and really hard to get into because it's so complicated. I mean, on the surface, it kind of is complicated when you're, like, doing it up and all that lot, and also just understanding what's in it, like, understanding what you can actually run and stuff like that may be complicated for some people, but in some cases it's actually easier and not as complicated, because if you want to back up your save data to an external hard drive in case of hard drive failure, then it's a simple job. You just copy everything and paste it. That's it. That's all you need to do. On a console, however, it's not that simple, because before you even start copy and pasting files, you have to format a external hard drive or a USB to work with that console, and I always found that stupid. Like, why do I have to format a USB or hard drive to a console when I don't have to do that with PC? With PC, I don't need to format anything. I just buy the thing, plug it in, and it just works. And then I can just copy files, like, do whatever the fuck I want with it. I don't have to format it to work on my PC. It's stupid, but I have to format it. And to do that, I have to delete everything on that hard drive or USB. And what I had to do, like, I mean, I've backed up my PS2. That was a lot more simpler because I used FreeMat Boot to do that, and FreeMat Boot allowed me to just slot in a USB, and I used ULaunch Elf and just copied everything and just pasted it onto the USB, put it in my USB, and copy pasted it to my external hard drive on my PC. So yeah, it was that simple. And I also backed up my GameCube data as well, and I used a homebrew program called GameCube Memory Manager. And here's an advice to anyone who owns a GameCube: get a Nintendo Wii. Seriously, unless you are using Dolphin for all of your games, if you have any GameCube save data, you absolutely need to own a Nintendo Wii, just so that you can homebrew it, so that you can back up your save files, because it has happened to me where a GameCube memory card has kind of like died, or all the data got corrupted, and yeah, that has happened to me before. So don't let that happen to you. Get it sorted out. Always take precautions, and that's just a bit of advice to people, because you never know when your hard drive's going to fail. You never know when your save data is going to get lost, and you know, as gamers, we put a lot of time into this stuff, into our save data, and to lose it really sucks. It really does. It's excruciating to know that you've lost all that progress. And yeah, so I strongly recommend doing that. And if you need any help, you can always just hit me up in the comments, and I will direct you to people who know what they're doing, or like I'll just try and help you out. But yeah, back up your save files, people. It's a must. It's not something that you think about, but it's something that you really should be doing if you don't want to have to waste time redoing shit. But yeah, as I say, PS2 was a simple job, but PS3, Xbox 360 and PS4 on the other hand, well, actually PS3 wasn't really that bad. And I'll tell you why. Because I just put in a USB and I could just copy and paste all the files to a USB stick. I didn't need to do anything like formatting or anything. Although there is an option to like back up the PS3 to a external hard drive, just like the whole thing. Kind of, it's kind of weird, like the system stuff. But I would recommend just doing it like manually anyways, and just back up your save data like that, so that you can just put it on PC. And yeah, that's what I did, and I did both things. The other way, if you do back up the system, you do need to format it to work with PS3, so do bear that in mind. But Xbox 360 was an absolute nightmare to back up, because I had to format a USB stick, and yeah, that was a problem. So I basically had to get a USB stick, another USB stick that I had, and I had to copy and paste all the files from one USB stick to the next. And I have a 7-port hub on my PC because the two front USB slots aren't connected to the motherboard anymore because I've replaced it. So the only USB slots that do work are the ones on the back, and they connect to the USB port hub, the 7-port hub. So I had to plug in 2 USBs into that port hub, and yeah, it was getting a bit clogged up because of it. Like my microphone's plugged in now, and my mouse is plugged in, and my gamepad is plugged in, you know, the controller. And yeah, I also have it plugged into the back of my PC via USB slot. So it's using all those slots, and yeah, I had to use those 2 USBs in those slots. And I was just copying and pasting just all of the stuff from one USB stick to another, and it was annoying. Just so I could empty it, so that I could format it for Xbox 360. Why did I need to do that? Like, why can't I just like plug in the USB stick and it instantly just lets me transfer files? I don't know. Like, it wouldn't even work with my external hard drive that I formatted for PS3. It just wouldn't even detect that. So yeah, that kind of sucks. I just don't understand why consoles do that, but they do. On PC, if you want to back it up, simple, just copy paste. On console, well, you have to format it, and it's just like, what the fuck. But yeah, and then I had another problem where if you wanted to back things up on Xbox 360, like in bulk, sometimes it would just stop backing stuff up because you had saves on another profile, and it would only back up per profile. Now, obviously, old consoles didn't have profiles. These newer consoles do, and that's a problem, because you have all these old like profiles that you may have saved games on before, be it accidental or deliberate. And yeah, like I encountered problems where it just stopped like copying the files because I had a saved game from another profile. So what I had to do is I had to scan through all the files for each game to find save files on another profile and delete it, and I had to do that for every single game that I wanted to back up. I had to look through all of the saves and see if I could find any save files from other profiles and delete them, and that took hours, just deleting all of the save files from other profiles, because it would just stop the copying and pasting if I didn't do that, and it was agonizing. Like, I had to listen to some music while I did that. I think I was listening to some Castlevania music while I was like copying shit. And yeah, like another thing that I noticed is that certain files just don't copy onto a USB stick. and most notably some original Xbox game files. Like, I actually had like Halo Combat Evolved digitally on my Xbox 360, and I realized that all of my save data on the Xbox 360 hard drive cannot be copied. So basically that's my progress lost if my Xbox 360 hard drive dies. So I'm not too happy about that. Another thing that I realized is that Ninja Gaiden Black saves its games onto the EEPROM, which is kind of like a shot in the nuts, because that game is notoriously difficult, and I guess F-Zero GX apparently did the same thing, but I can actually back that game up using GameCube Memory Manager, so that's not a problem. But this was just bullshit. You can't actually back it up. So really, there's no way to preserve Ninja Gaiden Black's save data unless you like manage to rip it from the EEPROM, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So it's very complicated, and in a way that was almost a turn off to me when it comes to playing that game. Like, I've had every single obstacle in my way. Every single obstacle has come in my way when it comes to playing Ninja Gaiden Black. I swear, that game really does not want me to play it. It really doesn't. But, yeah, that's another issue with it. And this is a modern console, so yeah, that's a problem. The only console that I haven't backed up yet is my PS4. And, yeah, I'm kind of dreading it now. I hope I don't have to format shit just to copy and paste files. I really hope I don't have to format anything. But, yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because I just wanted to show just how much of a hassle it can be to be a console gamer compared to being a PC gamer. If you have everything on PC, it's easy. It's so easy to back it up. If you have things on consoles, it's a nightmare because you have to format shit to work on that console, and it's just a nightmare. Like, I just fucking hate console gaming now. I really do. Now that modern consoles have fucked it up. I mean, and also certain old consoles, you know, they just simply don't have the ability to, like, back up saves. And, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Like, I can't exactly back up the EEPROM on my Nintendo 64 carts, can I? You know? I don't know. Maybe there's a way, I don't know. If there is, do tell. But I don't know if that's actually possible. And also, like, there's games with save batteries, like Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Like, I'm pretty sure that all of my Pokemon Gold... I have Pokemon Gold and Crystal right now, and both of the save batteries have just run dry. So, yeah, I've lost all my data for both of those games, and that really hurts me, because I love those games. But, yeah, it would be nice if I could just back up all the data for all the cartridge games, and all the old consoles like the SNES, because I think they have a safe battery as well. So yeah, I do love backing up my shit, I really do, except when it's on consoles. But yeah, so in a way, it's just been a nightmare to manage all these consoles and to just fit them all on my like desk, because as I say, I have this 3-tier thing, and I have the wires all over the place. Like, a lot of people use HDMI cables now for their consoles. I don't, and that's mainly because for the longest time I've had a capture card which is like a dirt cheap capture card. Because here's the problem: I have certain consoles that only work with composites, and certain consoles that have both composites and HDMI, and I also have just an HDMI console, like, which is my PS4. Like, I don't know what sort of capture card will actually like work with like every console. I mean, granted, I usually do record from emulators now, but the thing is that the capture card that I have is a composite one. It's not an HD one like a Elgato or whatever the hell people use nowadays. And I don't even know if my capture card even works now. But yeah, it's like my PS2, that's composite. Wii, composite. I don't know if Wii has, like, if you can put an HD cable with a Wii. I haven't checked it out. I don't know if it even came with one. I don't know. But all I know is I've used composites for most of my life. And only recently have I started using HDMI. I mean, I tried using HDMI with PS3, but then I went back to composites because I needed to record my PS3, and I realised I couldn't record it because I didn't have an HD capture card. And yeah, that's the thing, like, how do you record 7th gen consoles? That's an issue that I am dealing with right now, because it's a huge problem. I mean, it's not really a big issue for the Wii completely, because there is Dolphin, but for PS3 and Xbox 360, it's a huge issue, because PS3 emulation is absolute dog shit right now. It's not brilliant, and Xbox 360 is not brilliant either, so it has caused a huge issue for me, a massive issue, and it's something that I'm going to have to deal with at some point. But yeah, I can't really record in HD on consoles because I don't have an HD capture card, so that's an issue. But like I say, because of all the composites, I have wires all over the place. I have like, my PS4 is kind of like a desk for all of my controllers, although my Xbox 360 controller is on top of my Xbox 360, which I have it on the side, by the way, people, because I'm like afraid that I'll tip over by accident. But yeah, I have it on the side, and I have my Xbox 360 controller like on top, and I have my PS4 controller, which is an aftermarket one because the actual PS4 controller is absolute dog shit. I have my GameCube controller and my PS2 controller all resting on my PS4. I have my Wii remote, and this is an interesting thing. I have my Wii remote, you know, the like thing that you're supposed to like tie to your hands and like so that you grip the Wii remote so that you don't accidentally fling it against the wall. I have that tied up. Like, I've literally tied up my speakers to the Wii remote's like hand thing, you know, like the thing that you wrap around your hand. I've actually wrapped that around my speakers just so that my Wii remote remains stable, so I can actually use the classic controller, because the classic controller requires you to do that, because if you don't, then you'll move the classic controller around and then the Wii remote will slip off, and that's not good. So I've had to actually connect it like that just to use the classic controller. That's how bad the classic controller is. Whoever designed the classic controller, you're an idiot. You really are an idiot, because you've made a controller that requires me to attach it to another controller. Why couldn't you just make it like the GameCube controller and like have a GameCube thing that you slot into the GameCube slots? Why can't you just do that? Why do I have to slot it into the Wii remote? It's stupid. But anyways, that little rant over with. All I need to say is it's an absolute nightmare. It really is. Like, I've got all these consoles that are all in boxes. They're all in like cardboard boxes, and they're just dumped in the cardboard boxes on top of each other because I just can't fit them anywhere and I can't put them anywhere, and it's annoying. It's like, I won't mind having my SNES out and my Nintendo 64 out and, you know, all my consoles out, but the thing is, it's just not practical. And this brings us to modern gaming and just like console gaming in general, and like why I'm glad that I went PC, because with PC I can play all systems without actually having to have multiple plastic boxes on my desk. They're all there in one huge plastic metal box. Like, it's a bit of both, but yeah, like, it's just better that way. Like, and honestly, that's why I'm against console gaming as well. It's not just about like the fact that you have to pay for like online subscription fees. It's also the fact that these things take up space. And one of these days, they'll release the PlayStation 10, and you'll have like 10 PlayStations stacked on top of each other. Like, put that into perspective, people. Right? And the way Sony's going right now when it comes to backwards compatibility, you'll need all 10 of those PlayStations, believe me, because they're not going to allow backwards compatibility with PlayStation 4 on the PlayStation 10. Hell no. They're not going to allow it because some idiot's going to say, well, nobody plays PlayStation 4 games anymore because that's old. So you're going to need to keep hold of your PlayStation 4 when you have your PlayStation 10. Or at least your PlayStation 5, but, you know, it's going to be a nightmare, people. Eventually, it's just going to get on top of you, and you're just going to end up having to say, you know, I need to stop. I need to stop right now. And that's when you take the jump to PC gaming. Because that's when you realise, hang on a minute, this is getting too much. And I can safely say that once you get over the initial hurdle of PC gaming, it is liberating. I'm not here to tell you that PC Master Race and all this shit. I'm not here to, like, gloat about the fact that I own a PC. I'm just here to tell you the reality that, honestly, going from a PC to a console, which I have done because I have a PS4, like, it feels like a downgrade. It just feels like I lose access to all these great things like GOG and like lots of different storefronts like Humble and Steam and Fanatical and all this lot that give me good prices for my games. And on top of that, I can't emulate everything on a console, and, you know, like I said, backing up data is a bitch. So it does feel like a downgrade to own a console to me. But the thing is, like I mentioned, console exclusives are a thing. And not every console game is on PC. And some console games that are on PC, they're in a state because they originally came out on console and they were optimized for that console, and then they just port it to PC with a lazy port, and it's full of issues because they didn't optimize it for PC. This is the reason why every game needs to come out on PC, people, just so that it can be optimized for a lot of different devices, because optimizing for PC is no easy feat. It isn't, and that's why it needs to be done, so that at least it's done, and then it can work on a lot of different consoles later on down the line. You know, if you optimize for PC first, then it makes things easier to port it to consoles because you've gone through all the hurdles already. So now you can just easily port it to consoles because you've already done it for like all kinds of different hardware. You know what I mean? That's why PC ports to consoles, as I say, they're not bad. They very rarely are. I mean, for example, Diablo 1 on the PlayStation 1, like, that's fine. Like, it plays perfectly fine. I actually like that version of the game, even though the PC version exists, which I've also played. I've played both versions, and they're both fine. Why? Because it originally started on PC, and then they ported it to console. Now, of course, there are going to be situations like StarCraft 64 and Warcraft 2 The Dark Saga, where you're trying to play an RTS on a console, and you have to, like, use the D-pad to move the little cursor, press the X button to, like, drag the cursor around all the units, then press the X button again to move it, and if you want to cancel, you have to press the circle button, not the X button. You know, and it's just like, whereas in Warcraft 3, you just left click and it cancels, you know? It's a nightmare. So, yeah, there's that, but that's just RTS. I mean, RTS games shouldn't exist to begin with because it's a broken genre. But, in any case, like, PC is the future, people. It is, whether you like it or not. I mean, personally, I don't like the fact that PC is the future. A lot of people think that I'm a PC master race elitist. You know, I'd rather stick with consoles. I would. Why? Because I like buying games physically and playing physical games on systems. I do. I like that collection factor of console gaming. But the thing is that, let's be honest here, you have to install games now. And you still get games like Need for Speed 2015, which are, they become coffee coasters. Like, the discs become coffee coasters once the servers shut down because you can no longer play it. So, really, there's no real difference anymore, you know? I mean, when you have sites like GOG where you have DRM3, it's just like, it's the same shit, you know? So I've kind of gotten over that sentimentality of physical gaming pretty quickly. You know, you just do when you go onto PC. I mean, I still like having, like, a collection to some degree. I still like collecting games for consoles, but the thing is that, as I say, when it comes to playing games on PC, you know, I don't mind digital. The only time I mind digital is when it's on console, because I have to use the console storefront, and that means the money goes to the console manufacturer, and I don't want to give them a penny, you know? Not after what they've made us go through. I mean, come on, like, charging for online, like, charging for, not online, but, like, yeah, the right to play games online, and just, it's so bullshit. Like, just to access the multiplayer menu, you have to fucking pay a monthly fee. That's absolutely ridiculous. It really is. It really is stupid. And the silly thing is, I actually tried the PlayStation Plus trial, and I decided, you know what, I'll play Doom multiplayer on PS4. I don't own Doom on PS4 anymore, by the way. I got shot of it because I have the PC version now. But I have Doom on PS4, and I played the multiplayer on Doom PS4 because I had that PlayStation Plus. And the amount of times I disconnected on PS4 was tremendous. Like, I disconnected so many times because the servers are just so shit. And on PC, that's never been a problem. It's always played fine on PC. And I can get to the menu without having to pay a dime. You know, I can play multiplayer without having to pay an extra penny. And also another thing about it is that if multiplayer servers die out on PC, it's a lot easier to revive dead multiplayer games on PC by using other server providers like Game Ranger and stuff like that, you know, that will allow you to play other games online through, like, LAN connection play, but it's like, it creates a server that allows you to connect with other players around the world, so it's just kind of like, as I say, online multiplayer, just in a different way. And these services are free, you know, like, you can download Game Ranger for free, and I know because I actually have to use Game Ranger to play Warcraft 3 online now. because Warcraft 3 Battle.net, well, it's dead. You can't go on Battle.net anymore, unless you go on Battle.net 2, but I can't seem to find a way to access Battle.net 2, not that I want to, because Battle.net's shit, and honestly, I think Game Ranger is better in every single way. I think even the community, like, that's one thing I've noticed, the community. When I'm playing on Game Ranger, the community is so much less toxic than on Battle.net. Like, it is, like, the people, I've actually met some people that are actually really cool and actually have sportsmanship when you actually play games. Like, if you lose a game or win a game, like, it's sportsmanship. People are like, oh, that's a great game, you know, we had fun, you know. They actually have fun on Game Ranger, whereas on Battle.net it's just a bitching session where everyone bitches at each other. But that's another rant for another day. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say on it. It's hard. It's hard, and honestly, I would rather not have to buy more consoles. I'd rather just stick with my PC and not bother buying any more consoles. I mean, I'd like to have a PC engine, I would, but the thing about it is that if I bought a PC engine, not only would it cost me a lot of money for just the system, and not just for the system, but for the games as well, it would also take up more space than I'd want to be taken up. So it's just not practical for me to buy a PC engine. It's a concept I've wanted for a while, so, you know, I really want to have one, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's not practical, so, yeah, but you could say that that's my dream console, but it'll never happen. So, there you go, guys. So, that's my thoughts on consoles. And basically, I love the old consoles. I do. I have sentimental attachment to a lot of my old consoles, and I wouldn't want to get shut of them. I really wouldn't, because they're part of my life and part of my legacy and part of my history. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to get shut of them. But the modern consoles, fuck them. Fuck modern consoles. They are garbage. They are absolute gutter trash. Just play on PC, people. And I'm not saying this to be an elitist. I'm saying this to make your life a lot easier, so that you can basically save a lot of money in the long run and get access to all kinds of third-party shit that you wouldn't have access to on consoles. Because having that freedom is liberating. And another thing as well is on PC, like, if you go on some of the Steam reviews on PC, people in the PC gaming community are harsher towards gaming than people in the console community. Like, I've noticed it. Like, if a PC game's released, people are quickly going to critique it. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of companies are turned off from, like, putting games on PC, because they don't want to have to deal with all the critics that will come their way, like all the negative Steam reviews because of how poorly optimized it is. It's always the same thing, but yeah, I've noticed that they do take gaming a lot more seriously on PC. That's one thing I have noticed over console gaming. Console gaming, they're just so, like, laid back about gaming. And I wish I could be laid back about gaming. I really wish I could, but unfortunately I can't, because I have principles that I need to stand for. So really, I have to stick to those principles because I believe in them. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say on the topic. So yeah, see you guys.